That's what I looked like 10 years ago. My name is Doris Grauza, and 10 years ago I moved from Lithuania to New York City. Since my family and I are Jewish, the Russian pogroms were very hard on my family and I. We didn't want our children to grow up in fear of being attacked just because of our religion. My husband Bruce, this is what he looks like. He moved to America a year before us, and he got a job as a tailor. He only made around like $12 a week, yet he still sent us sufficient money to save up for the 9 third-class tickets that we needed in order to make it to America. On our way over, many people around us died because of malnourishment and other diseases that would easily spread throughout the small quarters. By the time we finally reached Ellis Island, our youngest child, Proj, died of infections that she received on board. Some of my other children, who also became malnourished on the trip, barely made it past their health inspections. The workers at Ellis Island were very harsh and blunt towards all of the immigrants that were coming through Ellis Island. They asked us many questions like, why was I coming to America, who was expecting me, what job would I get when I lived there, and where I would live with me and my now 7 children. Finally, I made my way towards New York City to reconnect with my husband Bruce. Once we found him, we moved into a study home. We lived in a Dunbelt tenement, which is a style of apartment complex. That's a Dunbelt tenement. We lived close to the air shaft, but that let the rancid smell of hot, rotten trash and sewage seep into our apartment. We could not afford our own apartment, so we had to rent it along with an elderly couple. This meant that there were 11 people living in the small, overcrowded room. I taught my children how to read and write by reading them the daily newspaper. This helped them get jobs because they became literate. Because there wasn't much to do in a 1-bedroom apartment, I regularly liked to take my children to the neighborhood parks. This made a place where we could relax and enjoy the nice weather.
This was not your dream, but you always believed in me.
My name is Flora, and I emigrated from a small town outside of Krakow, Poland to America around 6 years ago. After my father was killed in a political uprising, my mother could not care for the 7 of us any longer. When my aunt in America, this is her, told her I could live with them, she had to agree. My journey from Poland was not easy. I was only 14 when my mother sent me to live with my aunt and uncle in Chicago. She knew that the future for a poor family in Poland was not good. Leaving behind my 6 brothers and sisters was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I knew that when I left, I would never see them again. Before I left, my mother taught me how to sew because she knew that I would always find work as a seamstress. Going to America was very scary. I had never even met my aunt and uncle. When I arrived to Ellis Island, a cousin whom I had never met was there to meet me and put me on a train to Chicago. Chicago was a very big city compared to the small Polish town I had come from. My new home was very crowded because we shared it with another family of 4. My cousins were poor, but there was always food. My uncle owned a small grocery store, and all of the cousins and I woke up early to deliver groceries, and then we would go to school. It was very hard for me to learn English in the American way of life. Settlement houses also really helped me with that. They taught me new skills like typing that I could use to make money, and how to use the public transportation systems like the train. With my ability to sew, I was able to get a job as a seamstress in a department store. I took in extra sewing work on the weekends to help my aunt and uncle with some extra money. When the weather was warmer, my family and I loved being in the parks and relaxing on days off. The huge Polish community in Chicago made fun gatherings on time off as well. I personally enjoyed going to the public library and reading as many books as I could. We never had anything like this in Poland, and I wanted to take full advantage of it. 6 years later, I still miss my family terribly, but I have made good friends, and I am soon to be married to another Polish boy. He is a tailor, and we hope to open up a tailor shop where we will both work together, like this one.
My name is Georgia. I've arrived to Philadelphia from Milan, Italy. I came over 1 year ago to pursue my dreams of becoming a shoemaker in America. Right now I work in the coal mines to make money, so maybe someday my dream will come true. Life has been pretty rough for me. Growing up, my family was very poor. My parents had to obtain small jobs to make ends meet. My 5 other brothers and sisters had to get jobs when they were young also to help provide for the family. I was the youngest, but was always the bravest. I decided that I wanted a better life for myself. When I turned 17, I started planning my life in America. I started to save up money from the job I had as a shoemaker. I had to save money for 3 years, and by then I had enough for my ticket and started money for when I got there. The trip over was not what I expected. It was crowded and there was a lot of illness. I had made friends with another Italian my age, but he had gotten a disease on the ship, and at Ellis Island they would not let him through the health inspections. They sent him back to Italy on the next ship over. After I had settled in, the organization APA had made the immigrant life much harder than it should be. If it weren't for my parents' demand for a good education, I would have been in a much worse place than I am now. Americans forced assimilation on me with English, Protestant religion, and their entire way of everyday life. Every day, I wake up with the sun and head straight to the coal mines. Since I've joined the American Federation of Labor, we got an 8-hour workday. At around 2 p.m., I finished up work and head straight to the bars. Me and my friends drink and talk about our days in the mines. We have to warm up in the bars from 8-hour work shifts that we work with no heat. I get home after a couple of hours to my own room apartment that I share with 6 other immigrants. There's only one other person who speaks Italian, like me in my home. It's hard to communicate with the others, but we have all been learning English from the settlement houses. I try to write every day to my family that I had to leave behind to come to America. I also sent money with each paycheck I get back to my wife and kids and hope that someday they will be able to join me in America. Before I found my jobs in the mines, the settlement houses again have helped me adjust to this new American society and culture.
And I've been keeping all the letters that I wrote to you, each one a line or 2. I'm fine, baby, how are you? Well, I would say